Hi, I'm Fred.
I'm Jesse. We're with Pickett Street Properties. We help people sell their homes via short sale, and we help people value their homes when they're short selling so that they have a reasonable measure of success.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a rant today, and it applies professionally, but I think there's also kind of a vested interest.
Yeah, Fred's in a neighborhood. Fred, like many people, owns a home, and a neighbor put a sign in his yard and a ridiculous price on the flyer.
Yeah, and so obviously, like any other homeowner, we want to know what's going on in our neighborhood and see the sign come up. Oh, okay, hey, what's it listed for? And I go and look, and I think there has to be a typo because it's a split-level home, about 2,200 square feet. House across the street from me just has the same specs and just sold for over $100,000 more than this was listed for.
So what's the list price on this home?
It's like $240.
And the sales price of the other was about
$350.
$350. So yeah, we just want to talk about how we price short sales because if you are an agent, let's say you're a real estate agent and you haven't sold very many homes this year, but someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to do a short sale, and you're thinking, sweet, they don't care about the purchase price, the offer price, the listing price, so I'm going to put it on for, I don't know, $240. Well, here's what's going to happen, because we know how this works, is the bank's going to order a valuation of that property. The valuation is going to come in around, I don't know, 3.25, somewhere between 325 and 350, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there was another fixer on the street that sold for 300, so probably in that range.
Yeah, 300 to 350. That's a pretty big range, but we know it's probably over 300.
Right.
And they're listed for 240.
Right.
Right. So the bank's going to do a valuation, and the person doing that valuation has a set of rules that they have to follow, and those rules are not going to allow them to sell the house for $240,000. So some investor sees this property for $240,000, right? And maybe they think, oh, sweet, if I can get it for $240,000, we're golden, no problem.
Right.
Well, then the bank's going to counter them at $300,000.
Right.
And do you think an investor is going to go from $240,000 to $300,000? So the rule of thumb here is short sales, the banks are trying to get as close to market value as possible.
Right.
We have exceptions when that property is not financeable, where investors can there's a little bit of margin for an investor and for a cash buyer.
Right.
So if we have a property that is not financeable, you cannot get a loan on it, the only way you can purchase it is if you have cash, then the bank is going to be willing to recognize that and discount the purchase price.
Right.
But in this scenario, and so many that we see, agents just don't know how banks value property and throw a price tag on there, and it ends up delaying the process for everyone involved.
Right.
And actually in my opinion, moves the seller closer to foreclosure.
Well, and there are other issues too. The fact that we have a hard enough time fighting with valuations. We've done other videos talking about that. And so when an agent prices something like this, it undermines our credibility with the banks and with the BPO agents that we actually know what we're doing and we know what the market's doing. And in this case, I called the agent to find out, gosh, was that a typo? And he said no, and it went for higher than list price, and it needs a lot of work. And I'm like, it still doesn't justify where it started at. And
in fact, I'll tell you that I know that the people that have to evaluate that home now, either the agent or the appraiser, they're going to be mad at that agent because they just made their job harder. Like, it's one thing to have a list price and there's a reasonable expectation that that agent knows what he's doing and priced it within the parameters of our market. And so now you have a ridiculous price, and they're just having to do your job, which is price the home.
Right.
And so we actually have a good relationship with most of the BPO agents in our area, and most of the appraisers. And they can look at our track record and they can see that we know how to price a home, and even short sales. And so that totally makes a difference. If you're thinking about short selling and you're interviewing agents, ask them how they price the home. How did they come to this purchase price or a list price? Make them show you how they got to that, and then make sure it makes sense and that there's a justifiable explanation. A better question to ask is ask the agent if they know how the bank is going to value their property. Because we do. We know how the bank does it.
Yep.
So how do you think we price the home on a short sale?
We basically do a BPO.
We match the bank's process, and that's how we get a list price. And geez, usually the bank approves that price because we're controlling the process and we know how it works. So that's our rant on how to price a home if you're short selling. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.